Man, does it feel good just finishing books again. This week, I'm here to talk about the first book in the Dresden Files, Stormfront by Jim Butcher. This is a book series that I'm told gets better the further I read, and I'm really hoping that's the case. I like crime stories, I like urban fantasy, I like wizards, but there are massive parts of this book that I take issue with. Stormfront features our protagonist, Harry Dresden, freelance local wizard in Chicago. He helps the police with their weirder crimes, as well as taking on private clients, doing some odds and ends for them, finding things, fixing things, being a wizard, you know. This story opens with Harry a bit down on his luck. The cash hasn't been flowing recently, but as luck would have it, he's gotta go find a husband and a double magic murder on the same day. And then the twists and turns of our spooky, magical, urban fantasy, noir, mystery, detective novel begin. Now, off the bat, I think the story in this is really fun. I think the mystery aspects of this novel are really well done, and I enjoyed following Harry as he went through these cases. I think the plot itself is, for the most part, very well paced. I'm not sure because I don't read a lot of noir, but I think the problems that I had with this book might just be I don't like this aspect of noir where we get a lot of scenery description for when he walks into a room and he sees all of the things on the walls and describes the knickknacks and makes some analysis of that person based on what he sees in the room. I don't really care about this. It didn't seem like it was advancing the plot a lot, so I was just kind of skimming through those parts. I think that this book also does a lot to set up the world of the Dresden Files for the next 17 books. Oh my god. Okay, I guess I'm reading a lot of books. But this book does set up a lot of promises that will get a lot of exploration of this world. We get mentions of settings like the Never Never. We get hints to Harry's backstory and his history before this book, and hopefully we'll see a bit more with that. Maybe some more depth and interactions with the Wizarding Council that we see. There's a ton that gets built here, but we don't know a lot about it. And I think for this being such a deep book series, there's a lot of promise for what we will be able to see later on. And that makes me excited to read these. But like I said, I take major issue with some key parts of this book. The first major issue I have is with the magic system itself in this book. We get bips and bobs here and there of the magic, but it never really felt like it had any weight to it. It was there when it was needed to save the day or make a flourish or something, but the magic never felt like it lived in this world. There are times where Harry will just do magic in front of people, and it's a 50-50 on whether they're surprised that magic is being done, or they're like, oh, you're a wizard. And a lot of it leads me to question if magic is supposed to be secret in this world, if it's not supposed to be secret, why are so many people skeptical of it? It's pretty confusing, and it doesn't leave a lot of world building for the magic system itself, or even how this world has grown with these aspects of magic. It just kind of feels like, hey, it's Chicago, also there's vampires. And that seems a bit weird for there to be so much magic in this world, like all of the different races of creatures and these wizards, but nothing's really different. Maybe we'll see that later, I don't know. But for now, it bothered me a little bit. Now, I don't need my magic systems to have a Brandon Sanderson codex in the back, but I do want consistency. And it didn't really feel like we had that here. There are times where Dresden claims to be a stupid powerful wizard. Like he's done all the training, he's gone to Hogwarts, and now he knows what he has to do. And then he goes on to fail at dealing with a problem that we either have seen him deal with already, or he will deal with later in the book with some kind of magic. I also question Harry's financial state if there actually is all of this magic out in the world. It doesn't make sense for him to be strapped for cash if this is what he's doing and it's actually true. He puts off very early on that he won't lie and just mess around with famous rich people to be able to get their money, but I don't think he should have to with there actually being real magical problems in this world, especially if he's the only wizard in Chicago, or at least that was my understanding from this book. He's the main wizard of Chicago. Maybe we'll get a bit more in a future book, but from what I'm seeing, it seems like he should have a pretty lucrative business. I don't know. Anytime magic came up, these are the questions that I had in my mind, and if I'm thinking about these and not thinking about the story, that seems to be a problem with the writing. The other major issue I had, I knew about it going in, but I didn't expect it to be nearly as bad as it actually was. How overtly creepy and sexual Harry Dresden is written in this book. Every woman that we meet in this book is described when they enter a scene head to toe, and it feels so disgusting to read it. He describes multiple women as having aspects of cheerleaders, and that's kind of yikes for a 30-plus-year-old man to be talking about. Even when he's describing his female cop friend, he describes aspects that he can't see but can only guess on, and that feels even worse. That feels like an excuse to be able to sexualize this character even more. Now, you could argue that this could be a character flaw in Harry Dresden. However, the writing does not do that. We never see pushback from other characters when he voices some of these things out loud, and there's another character that does similar creepy things as an offhanded joke to sorority girls. I'm fine with sex being in books. But this kind of objectification and downplaying of the misogyny towards women is a really bad character trait to push onto your main character of an 18-book series. Especially when Harry has this internal monologue where he's a gentleman and he's from an earlier age, and that's really tip your hat milady to me, and it's not a good look. I saw a question by a parent on Goodreads asking if their 12-year-old should read this book, and if this is the kind of misogyny that gets reiterated and reinforced as they read more of these books, with absolutely zero pushback, with no one saying, no, what is being done is wrong, and this character is not meant to be a representation of how you should treat or react to women in any way, or anyone for that matter, you create some massive problems. This isn't your typical Tolkien misogyny where you only have 2 women in the book. It's the other way. There are a ton of women in this book. We don't just get this description once or twice or 3 times. There are at least 7 different descriptions of women that we get. Every single one of them is disgusting. I can't say that these women are solely here for their sexualization, as they all do serve a purpose for progressing this story along. But man, it just feels like the plot was built around how many women can we ogle in as few pages as possible, and it kind of felt gross. I hope this goes away in future books. Something tells me it might not. That's just not okay. I'm probably gonna have way more in-depth talk about this when I finish more of these books. Well, maybe a 180 on this and see, hey, no, this was a character flaw and it gets better, and Harry realizes that he's a disgusting human being and he grows from that. But, you know, only time will tell. And of course, I don't want to spoil this book at all by going into examples of what happens here, but I do plan on doing that in the future, and I do plan on pointing out the problematic parts of at least this book, if not any other books in this series that have these similar problems. I'm really torn here on my arbitrary, not real ranking system that I like to do here as a good old meme. On one hand, I did genuinely enjoy the story and the fantasy and the magic that was going on here, but Stormfront also struggles with grounding that magic and fantasy in the world in a way that readers can feel like they fully understand, and with the disgusting way that this book treats women. I'm gonna give it like 50% of the Chicago Bean, something like that. I don't know. I could see you reading past this. It is the first book in, like I said, an 18-book series. It was written 21 years ago already, and he's still writing, so his growth as a writer hopefully has improved to deal with that magic system, and I hope Jim Butcher has learned how to treat women a bit better in his books. There it is, my review of the first book of the Dresden Files. Many more to come in the future. I'm not sure how often I'll be reading a Dresden Files book, but because there are so many and they are pretty quick to read, I was able to read this pretty fast, I should be getting back to them pretty soon. I just don't feel like if this is a representation of the rest of the series, that it should be receiving as much renown on the internet as it has, and so I will definitely be a very vocal minority here in saying that so far, these books aren't that great. They're fun to read, but I don't think they belong up where everyone else holds them. But if you liked what I had to say here, or you disagree with what I had to say here, please let me know in the comments. If you found what I said interesting in any way or thought-provoking, hit me with that like button. And if you haven't yet, hit me with that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next video. Until then, stay lit.